Thank you so much for taking your time and being here on World IVF Day and Embryology Day. It means a lot to us. And I really wanted this experience to be very personalized and just show you what we're building here. And I came across an article yesterday on other clinics saying 50% off or if you were above the treatment. And that goes against everything what we're building here. We want it to be something very unique, something very personalized. At the same time, when I take you on the tour later, you'll see what I mean by transparency and the whole clinic resembling that SOP and everything. And everybody you meet here will resonate that want. And that's what we've done and within Oval. And after all of you to just keep an open mind, educate yourself, ask as many questions as you want yourself. So introducing Nicole and Gayatri, two of my very close friends, a nutritionist and a fitness coach. So, or better. And Ramya here is going to be our moderator for the day.
All right. Thank you so much, Rina. Welcome once again. I will quickly introduce both of you. All right. Nicole Linharas-Kedia is a renowned sports nutritionist and integrated health coach who advocates sustainable, science-backed nutrition that focuses on long-term health rather than restrictive dieting. A former state-level basketball player and athlete, her personal journey with PCOS has inspired her passion for helping people optimize their health through nutrition. Right? Today, Nicole works with some of India's leading athletes, Hollywood stars, corporate clients, and families. And she serves as a trusted nutrition consultant to celebrities including Siddharth Malhotra, Kiara Advani, Shahid Kapoor, and athletes like Hardik Pandya, PV Sindhu, and is also a health coach for Punjab Kings, the IPL team. So please join me in welcoming her. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited. Thank you. And we have Gayatri Shetty here. Gayatri Shetty is a sports musculoskeletal physiotherapist with over a decade experience in women's health, injury rehabilitation, exercise prescription, and performance. She has worked with elite Olympic-level athletes, celebrities, and individuals across all stages of life, helping them use movement as a powerful tool for better health and recovery. Passionate about bridging the gap between science and everyday practice, Gayatri believes that exercise is not about fitness. It is a key pillar for long-term health, longevity, hormonal well-being, and quality of life. Today, she will be sharing, of course, evidence-based insights into the role of exercise in fertility, preparing the body for pregnancy, and empowering women to move with confidence throughout their journey. Both of you, welcome once again. Thank you so very much for being here. And what would you begin? Yes. So right. I think I'll go ahead and start off with, because we are talking about fertility and because we are talking about reproductive health overall, most of us do understand how important movement and nutrition is. But from the experts, like both of you, can you guys go ahead and talk us through why it is so influential, why it is so important? I will begin.
Okay, so movement and exercise is not a replacement for IVF or any kind of fertility treatments, I would say, but it does play a massive role in bringing about the best metabolic health so that the woman can sustain a pregnancy or go through the treatment, right? So exercise in fertility, I would say, starts with mild to moderate level of activity, not too aggressive, but because exercise in fertility, we call it the U curve, right? So too less is not ideal, but too much endurance work is also not optimal because then it puts you under a lot of stress, and fertility itself is a very stressful process. So we don't want the woman basically go through a lot of stressful physical activity. So I would say ideal is always mild to moderate intensity of movement, which could incorporate resistance training. It could incorporate walking, swimming, cycling, and Pilates, and a lot of pelvic and stability movements for the hip and around the pelvic region so that the woman is developing good control and strength around her pelvic region, but also not extreme endurance-based workouts, because we've seen that in athletes who do a lot of high impact endurance work, they do have it basically suppresses the ovulation window. So I would say that the movement is essential, but when it comes to fertility, I would say it should be somewhere in between mild to moderate level of activity. I think the nutrition bit, Nicole will be able to help you with that.
So, as Gayatri rightly already said, and I think that fitness and nutrition is so hand in hand that it's exactly how she put it. That unfortunately we cannot control how many eggs you have. I think that's what you're born with, but we can control the environment that supports the ovulation phase that you're in. So it's more so to do with the creating a favorable environment that you can in your circumstances, whether it's a natural pregnancy, whether it's IVF, whether it's anything that you're going through in terms of your fertility journey. So what nutrition does is help support create that environment alongside physical movement, alongside sleep. There are many different pillars that all come together to then help you through the journey. And I think that's what Reena has beautifully done here, because it's not just one factor. It's a lot of different factors that come together to support your journey for you to have a healthy environment for you to create life going forward. In terms of nutrition, you can help reduce inflammation in your body. You can help in insulin sensitivity. With a lot of women today, PCOS has now finally been diagnosed as a metabolic disease. So it's no longer PCOS, it's PMOS, which emphasizes that our ovaries are controlled by our blood sugar. They are controlled by a metabolic syndrome. So you really see that whenever you go to a gynaec, also if you've been someone who has had PCOS, the minute you start losing weight, or the minute you take that first step in your lifestyle, you'll see that, okay, at least my periods instead of 40 days came to 35 days. So it's that sensitive. And unfortunately, there are a lot of factors that we can't control. We can't control the air quality we live in. We can't control the produce we have. So it's really what you can control and working alongside that. And nutrition being one of them. You're just eating well to create a healthy environment for you to sustain a beautiful pregnancy going forward. Thank you so much. Can you also talk about, in terms of, I mean, we will be talking about IVF and other fertility treatments, but I want to also touch upon just natural pregnancy and how important movement is, also nutrition. And is there something like too much exercise? You did touch upon that, even in terms of natural pregnancy and not trimester 3.
Yeah.
People are still working
So
out.
there is no particular, like I would say it's not that complicated, but it's not that simple as well. But I'd like to say, like, if a woman is not planning her pregnancy or she's not planning to conceive, she can go through a normal, rigorous training routine, right? There's no hard and fast rule that, okay, this is the optimal limit. But if a woman is she's going, she's planning her conception, then I would say she can be in the range somewhere, like I said, mild to moderate essentially, because you don't want, so like how Nicole said, right? The body needs to be relaxed, but at the same time, the metabolic health needs to be optimal. But at the same time, you don't want to increase the cortisol levels. You don't want the woman to be like under high stress zone, because ovaries being one of the most important metabolic organs in the body. We need to protect it. We need to make sure that we give, like she said, we need to make sure that we provide the right environment. You cannot really predict the outcome, but you can make the best kind of environment for the system to sustain and get through that pregnancy. So woman is already going through, like we are talking about IVF today. So let me talk about that. IVF itself is a very stressful, I'm sure Nicole and Veena would agree on that it's not easy for a woman to go through that. There's so much hormonal changes happening in the body, so many medications being given, and also psychologically, I think it takes the woman through, it's very stressful. Firstly, she's not able to, conceive naturally, and then you go through this entire process. So mentally also, you want the person to be under, you don't want them to be stressed out the entire time. So physical activity is also going to increase the stress level, correct? So we want to make sure that we do make sure that the woman moves and she's moving, and there's good muscular lean muscle mass, and so that it helps in terms of insulin sensitivity, and in terms of because obviously the better the muscular mass in a woman or a man, doesn't matter, but better glucose absorption, better regulation, and it will provide the optimal environment for pregnancy and for the eggs to sustain and grow appropriately to the appropriate size and all of that, right? But it shouldn't be to a point where she's doing a lot of endurance work. I think that's not optimal. That's why you see that she'll be able to, I think, touch upon that a lot of endurance athletes, like long distance runners and sprinters, go through a lot of issues when it comes to conceiving, because the energy levels are low and the endurance, the body is already put under tremendous stress and pressure. So now the ovarian, I mean the system, the the endocrine system and the metabolic system is under tremendous pressure and stress. Yeah. So in their situation, they're not able to conceive, and you see a lot of cases of hirsutism, and you see that they're becoming more, they're moving towards, more, they're developing more testosterone in their body, and all those kinds of complications. So you want, and women's body is very, I think it's very complex. It's not equivalent to a men's body, right? So there's not enough research around it also. Unfortunately, there's no research around how much, most of these researches are done around men, I think. So even when it comes to protein intake and all of that, I do not go by what the Instagram influencers are talking these days, because it's much more deeper than that. You cannot. I mean, not that way. There's a lot of people who I would like to go to an educated person to understand my body better. Do the baseline work, do my blood work, get the baseline parameters done, and then show it to a professional and get it done from them. So there is no right or wrong, I think, but at the same time, I'd like to say that moderate activity is the best. Yeah. Recovery is essential. Sleeping is essential. Hydration is essential, so that you provide the right environment for the eggs to mature, for the body to sustain that pregnancy, and for the woman to be in a very calm and composed state of mind.
Coming back to your question about natural pregnancy, how many of us have one friend who said, "Oh shit, I got pregnant." And you're sitting here through your IVF cycle, if it is, or you're sitting here counting these, because, as I said, it's nutrition alone is not one size fits all, but so is pregnancy. It's so multifactorial. You see that pregnancy usually happens when you least think about it, for a lot of people, is because your body is calm. There's no cortisol rise. You're enjoying life. You're on a holiday. Suddenly you come back, you're pregnant. You're out with your boyfriend before you're married, you're pregnant. Why do those things happen? Yeah. Because you're not stressed about it. Yeah. So there's one side that says that, and then there's one side where you're doing everything correct and it's still not happening. So it's unexplained. So it's so vast that, as Gayatri said, all you can do is try to create that environment. And when you come to talking about nutrition, I was actually having this conversation with Tanya on slide, that if someone tells me that I'm freezing my eggs or I want to start getting pregnant, unfortunately, the journey doesn't start there. Even for male fertility, for sperm generation and sperm health, it takes about 70 days. For creating good egg quality, it takes about 90 days. So I'm saying what you ovulate 3 months later is what you do right now. So the journey starts way in advance when it comes to nutrition. Yes, in moderate exercise for anybody is something that we should, unfortunately, don't live in a country where we're walking every day. So now we have this new obsession with 10,000 steps in it. So everyone should be walking 10,000 steps, because if you were not living here, that's what you would anyway do. Yeah. But to add on top of that, yes, you need movement. I think it's also to do with who's ever been for a workout and not felt good after, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the environment, the mindset that you're in. When you eat whole foods, when you're not reliant on processed food, you just see your body behave better. Mm-hmm. You eat 5 days at home and you see the difference. Forget what you're eating. That's secondary. You just feel better. So when we come to IVF, or when you come to pregnancy, all I'm saying is
control what's controllable, and whatever you can't, you can't. So as I said, you're born with the those amount of eggs. Like no nutritionist, no physiotherapist, like no doctor can change that. But you can only change the kind of quality that the environment you're creating. Eggs, oocytes are all like 1,000 mitochondria, and that's energy produced. Like that's basically ATP energy. So the oxidative stress that our body goes through right now today, we're all mostly working women or raising children. So we're women are known to be multitaskers. So there's never a day that we're not stressed unknowingly. So there's a lot of stress that your body anyways goes through. So that's when you realize that there's a lot of, and we're living in a world where there's a good amount of supplementations that you can take. There's a good amount of foods that we have now access to that you can take to create that space, have an antioxidant filled diet, have anti-inflammatory foods, have your vitamins, check your deficiencies. All of this can be done, and before you know it, you can fix all of this, so you don't have to reach a stage where you need to eat again. And then thank you so much. So wanted to mild to moderate movement, and the overall is the nutrition. Whether I think, like to summarize that, basically both of us are trying to say that you can't really control the outcome, but you can definitely provide the optimal environment for the woman's body to thrive and go through that pregnancy, natural or IVF or whatever that is, egg freezing, anything. But like she said, it has to start way before, even before you start thinking about conception. So outcome is, it depends on multiple factors, genetic and all of those things, I think, but we can definitely provide the best environment, and movement and nutrition being the primary baseline factors for us to, I do want to question about, nowadays everybody wants to either be pregnant or not be pregnant. They're not really thinking about how, what, etc. Right? It feels very polarized in today's world. Let's say a woman decides that she wants to get pregnant. How much before does she need to start doing the work? Not just her, but the couple that are walking into it. Because you said, right, it takes a lot more time even to think about it and even to start getting the process started. Correct. What would an ideal time be for her to use it? So coming, there are a lot of, as you said, a lot of women want to get pregnant. A lot of women, I feel today, because we're lucky enough to have access to want to freeze our eggs. We don't know if we want to get married, but we definitely know we want a child. So I have a lot of clients of mine who are young, and I feel like that's the best time. And I feel like we're so lucky to be educated enough to know that you should try to freeze your eggs as early as you can. If you don't know what else you're doing, if you know your career is at its peak and you don't want to have a baby right now, we can. So depending on what you're trying to do, nutrition comes in that angle. So if you're trying to get pregnant, or you're already married and you want to get pregnant, you can start 3 months in advance to try to eat better, eat whole foods, do your blood work, check your deficiencies. Actually, there's a gene called MHFTR, which is a gene that processes folic acid and converts it into folate. And because of my personal experience that I come to, that I didn't realize when I lost my first pregnancy, I was just like, I need to get to the bottom of this, and I did everything correct. And what did I do? And most women actually in India, a lot of women in India don't have this gene that can process folic acid into folate. Right? So you need to take a methyl version of folate. But in India, we give our chemists has folic acid because they have to make it affordable, of course. And a methyl version of folic acid is slightly more expensive. But all these things are now available in terms of access to information. I try to educate whoever comes to me to always go ahead and take a methyl version of it, because you'll always see your levels are, sometimes you see your B12 levels are more than normal. Yeah. But that's not because you've been you've been taking a beta oil because you're not absorbing it. So I'm saying all these 60% of Indian women are low in iron.
Yeah.
Especially vegetarian. So I'm saying there's so much to correct now because your produce is not giving you all of it. So I would say work on that. So you have 3 months in hand, sit, understand on the table that I need to now prepare my body. And also I think it's very short-lived to say I want to prepare my body to get pregnant.
Sure.
Because you want to prepare your body to get pregnant, to then lactate after, to then have a healthy baby, to then feed that healthy baby and to recover and to feel fit and to feel strong and to lose weight. So there's so much that we want out of our body that it's not a machine.
Yeah.
So it will take time. So the work you put in now is going to reflect later. If you ate healthy during your pregnancy, you will bounce back sooner.
Yeah.
You will have more energy. What's the goal? You want to be 50, 60 dancing at your child's wedding. You want to lift your baby. These are the goals that I tell at least my clients to now set. I never want to go, I want to be thin, I want to lose weight. You want to do all of that, don't come to me. If you want to be fit, you want to be active, you want to be 50 and not have a knee replacement surgery, come to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like the whole narrative is also changing in how you look at it. So when it comes to nutrition, I no longer think of it as you need 3 months or you need 6 months. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I want you to get educated to understand that this is how I want to live. And of course, we all have off days here and there.
Yeah.
But again, I have clients who will be like, oh, I did everything right. I'm not losing weight or I'm not but I went out on the weekend. And then I'm like, okay, tell me about your weekend. And your weekend started on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So that's out of 7 days, 3 days. So I'm saying that just the whole idea of how you look at food, how your relationship with food, rewarding yourself when you're doing well instead of calling it a cheat meal, understanding the concept of food is more important. Correcting your deficiencies beforehand so that when you get pregnant, you're not your iron is not low, you're not then you're not taking drips at that point of time. You've created that environment and the rest you left to the natural process or your IVF journey. When it comes to egg freezing, it's a whole different ballgame again, right? Then you're focused more on mood swings, you're focused more on counseling your client, try to be there, Venus, and create that empathetic environment for your client to think that this is a safe space. A lot of my focus in my profession goes towards coaching, more so than, as I said, because when you need to freeze eggs, if you want to do something nutritionally, that's done 90 days before. So at that point of time, it's dealing with those symptomatic problems that you face at that time, which is constipation, or let's say irritation, gut hair, bloating. So you're then dealing with, you're trying to create a nutritional plan that's more simple, that's more basic, that's more easy digestible, anti-inflammatory, because you're obviously injected and taking so many hormones.
Yeah.
So it's more so to do with that, and IVF also continues to doing something on that front. When it comes to food, I would say there are some nutrients. I wouldn't say there's a superfood. I mean, people are always disappointed with my answer, but there's no super answer.
Yeah.
So there's no superfood. I'm sorry if someone's selling that to you, but I'd say there's super nutrients and they're all equally important. So let's say there's omega. So if you're not a non-vegetarian, you're definitely not getting enough of that. There's iodine. Nowadays we want to have pink salt or salt that's not iodized. So again, we need to make sure that we're back to our Tata,
Correct. Yeah.
just stuff like that. Or there's choline, which is again very it's overlooked at, but it's so important for fetal development and brain development. So that's your eggs, the nuts and seeds. There's zinc that will support your immunity through this entire process. So you will see yourself when you're pregnant or trying to get pregnant or after pregnancy, you will always have low immunity. We have the first 2 years, whoever's had a baby, that when your baby gets a cold, you get a cold.
Yes.
So that's also because our immunity takes a hit. So all these micronutrients are important, and you try to want to fix that with food as much as you can. And if you're highly deficient in it, then you try to supplement those nutrients. Even for supplementation to work, you need to start in advance. So you can't be going in for your egg freezing a week and tell me that, okay, give me supplements that have high quality. And I'm seeing that there are a lot of supplements today that can help,
Really.
but you need to start in way in advance.
So in short, make sure that you're healthy and you want to be healthy throughout. Yeah.
100%. I think when it comes to this, what she just spoke, I think I'm very much aligned to what she's talking right now, and my whole perspective throughout this journey, like in terms of like physio or training my clients or in terms of nutrition, has always been coaching and counseling my clients, like, in terms of telling them that this is not short term, you cannot expect, because in Hyderabad, at least I can say now, that there are a lot of people who want like a quick solutions, and they want like, "Oh, I want to like gain some muscle, I want to lose some fat, can I do this, can I fat from here and fat from there?" I'm like, there's nothing like that. There's no short term. If somebody is like, if somebody is telling you that in terms of movement, that there is nothing, there is nothing short term, it's always like long term, sustained, consistent goals, which can lead you to what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to IVF or pregnancy or any of these things, right, I think that is also a long-term goal. I think at least 6 months to a year, I would say, if a woman is planning, at least 6 months is like bare minimum time. I think you need to give your body that time and space to go through that routine. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, that's what I tell most of my female clients, at least, that it doesn't have to be perfect. Like last night, I was speaking to someone and this person said, "You know what? I ate 3 Toblerones today." And I said, it's okay. Give yourself grace, zoom out and zoom out and see, look at the bigger perspective. It's not like 2-week goal or 3-week goal. We are trying to make you independent, and we are trying to make you self-reliant, so that 1 year down the line, even though you miss a couple of workouts and you end up eating, but your metabolic state is so good, you have enough muscle mass that you can regulate your insulin, and you can regulate your metabolism, and your body is in a good state to, it could be anything. It could be pregnancy, IVF, egg freezing, or life in general, like, we have to look at the long-term goal, and women in general need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture than being like, close, in the veins,
Super. Thank you so much. I want to take a small detour and come back to the mental health aspect of it. Obviously, like both of you correctly pointed out, there's so much of mental stress that women go through. It doesn't matter whether they're, trying to conceive naturally or IVF or trying to freeze their eggs. Can we talk about how just good nutrition and decent movement can help in terms of just the mental state of that woman?
I did say this before.
Yeah.
Who has ever gone for a workout and come back unhappy?
Yeah.
Like that. You would be like so sad, and you'd be like fully like, I don't want to get out of bed, and then you just got yourself to the gym, and then you come out, and then you could do 10 things that you thought that you couldn't do. That's because that's what it does. And that's the same with food, but of course the process is a bit longer. So it's, if you eat well and if you train every day, or you give yourself that routine and discipline, you would never, I don't think anyone would be, you'd never be unhappy, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what Gayatri and me have been trying to emphasize on, like, and when you say mental health, I've been through this. So in terms of like, I had a horrible experience in trying to get pregnant. I honestly thought pregnancy was the easiest thing ever. And I was enjoying my let's just say my honeymoon period. And I happened to get pregnant. And when I came back, for whatever reasons, I had to abort my pregnancy very late in my pregnancy. And then the only thing I wanted was to get pregnant. And I felt at that time also, because it was COVID, and I still feel like we don't have the best support system yet. We're still building as a country, and we're heading there. I didn't have that outlet to want to, like, to express myself to where I want, like, the support that I required. But all I knew was I wanted to get pregnant. And I feel like that's my personal story into how I even got into nutrition. I wanted to help myself. So every research and everything that I did was honestly to fix my own body. Then I went through IVF. I did a cycle. It didn't work. I did another cycle.
So I know the trauma that you as women, we stress a lot. Like no one can celebrate you. But the amount of, I feel like more than external pressure, we internally pressurize ourselves so much that I wish I had someone over there telling me that, okay, you know what, eat this, or, you know, move like this. It was like, and there was no chat GPT in that time. It was like, so, you know, you were doing so much of guesswork and trying to make it all work that I feel mentally I didn't have the bandwidth to think of what to do. I was just doing whatever I thought was good. But today we are lucky to have better access to systems that work, people who are available, coaches that are there for you. And as I said, that when it comes to even nutrition, or when me being a health coach, when someone is freezing their eggs or going through IVF, most of my part is counseling. It's just being there. It's just being listening. I feel like we forget to listen. So if you see my meetings, which are 40 minutes, for 30 minutes, I'm just listening. And maybe 10 minutes is about nutrition. So I feel like that's what you need to do. And I think women to women, like nobody understands us better. So if you ask me in terms of nutrition, at that point of time, when a client is doing IVF, more than nutrition, you're there, little bit of hand. You're just hand holding. You're just listening. And I think you're just listening. You're just being there. I feel like that's what they need at that point. Yeah. I mean, not a lot of women understand how important just simple food is in terms of making you feel better, right? Or movement is nowadays. So I feel like women need to give themselves grace. I feel we are like, trying to multitask, and we are doing things. If you go back to our older generation, we were not even meant to be doing all this, what we're doing today. We were supposed to be the nurturers, right? Technically, like going back to hunters or gatherers or whatever. Men were the providers. Women nurtured families. They got pregnant, they raised the children, made some good food for the husbands. And I mean, technically going back to that, I'm saying disapprove of the system. The system is great, but at the same time, we were not genetically wired to do so many things and multitask the way we are doing today. So no matter, let's say, for example, even though we've got the best health, let's say we have like a cook or a maid, but still there's still a lot of load on us, right? In terms of raising the child, being emotionally present for the kid, and at the same time taking responsibility of ourselves. And we want to thrive and do best in all the things we are doing. Like, at least I can vouch for the women who are, here, I mean, all of us, right? We want to do good at what we are doing in terms of work. We want to raise the children right. We want to be present for the family. So it's very important to give ourselves grace and tell that it's okay, it's okay. This is not today. If I do not work out, or today if I don't move, it's fine. Let me give myself that time and window to recover. Maybe I need this break. Maybe I need to read a book and just relax and be home and not do anything at all. And it's not essential to like move every day. From a movement perspective, I'm saying, like, if you miss a week of workout, for example, you are on a holiday and you don't end up doing what you're supposed to do, it's fine. Give yourself that grace. Give yourself that window to breathe, and don't guilt trip on it saying that, why didn't I do it? And stop comparing yourself to other women.
Yeah.
Grass is always greener on the other side. The petite ones probably want to grow a little bigger, and the bigger ones want to grow a little skinnier. We are never happy with where we are.
Yeah.
So I feel that, like she said, a lot of my work, I think in terms of professionally also, physio becomes a very small part of my profession at this point, right? There's a lot of listening. 80% is listening to the other person and understanding, okay, this person, is going through a lot, and mentally he's not feeling good about himself. And empathy, like Veena said, it's very important to be empathetic, and that's something which is missing. I think we are all getting to a point where we are getting very superficial, dealing with everyday, everything has to be transactional. I do not function like that as a coach. Like, I would want to get into the skin of the person and ask them, what is it that is bothering you today? Because this is essential. It's not mechanical. Even pregnancy, it could be egg freezing. It could be anything. It cannot be at a superficial level. A woman needs support in every possible way. Through pregnancy, before IVF stimulation happens, or egg freezing, postpartum, whichever phase, or
postpartum, in fact, more, because once the baby is out, people around forget that you exist. So the first question is always, how is the child? They do not realize that you are in pain, you are in discomfort, and you need more support than the child. Yeah. So I think we need a lot of support going forward, and women in general need to be more empathetic towards each other. I feel a lot of hate and disregard and animosity is from one woman to other. I mean, at least I have been feeling it for a while now, that we need to be more united. We need to look out for each other, and we need to stand up for each other and give each other grace, and make sure that the woman, whoever is going through that process, we're there. Maybe your contribution is only 5%, but you could sit there and sit with her, listen to what she's saying. That's more important, along with the movement and nourishment and everything else. I think it forms like it's not one small, it's not like, okay, nutrition, acha, movement, as a mechanical, it's not mechanical. It needs to be little more deeper than that. I think what Veena is trying to create here at at OVAL is that it's a space where women come, and it's not like technical hearty care. I'm depositing, I'm egg freezing today. It was space and whatever that is. So it's more like, I think it's about like creating a community, having a safe space for women where like-minded people sit and discuss and not fear judgment. And not be scared to tell them that, I lost a pregnancy, I had a miscarriage, or, I'm going through this and I had a bad pregnancy, I puked my guts out during the first 4 months and I do not feel like having another child. It's okay. Do not judge a woman on how many children she wants to have. Just like be there, be present, listen to her, see what she's trying to tell you, and leave it at that. Do not dig into it, Just leave it at that. Give her grace, give yourself grace. And I think OVAL represents that for Veena and for all of us. And I think we're all, happy to support her in the process. Yes.
I feel like what Gayatri is also trying to say here is that the yin and yang, our masculine energy is powered, our feminine energy. We're trying to do everything. And honestly, because we're women, we can. Ask a man doing 5 things, they can't. Sorry, go ahead. I'm already thinking. What
I try to different
you give them one example, is it? Give them 5. He's like, forget it. Like, you want to say, it's your fault.
For example, I would show my husband, like he completed one task, but then so that's 5 and 6, so what?
So it's like they're not wired like that. So I'm not blaming or not saying anything. There's no feminism. But I'm just saying that we're men. Sorry.
But they also get too much stress.
Yeah.
Too many things. When you say
But there's some things only women can do. And some things only men can do.
But women can do pretty much everything. I'm sorry, but we can multitask. We can completely take care of a child, take care of our husband, take care of the in-laws, and make sure that we are thriving in our careers. Okay, so you have to give us that.
Coming to that, that's what I feel like. We're so trying to. I mean, it's good that we know we innately can do it, but there's so much masculine energy present in our daily lives. Is why there's PMOS, there's PCOS, there's all of these things. Is because also, I mean, no offense to like people who are insanely training for high rocks or this, but like our bodies are, that's so much rise of cortisol.
Yeah.
There's so much testosterone generation, is why you skip ovulation, is why you skip getting your period, is because we're suddenly doing so many things that are not meant for women to do there. So I'm not trying to say that don't train like that, but when you're training like that, you're increasing testosterone, you're increasing cortisol. So basically, you're not being, your feminine energy is taking a hit, is why your periods take a hit.
Yeah.
So there's nothing actually wrong with you, but that's why Gayatri was saying that moderate exercise is what you should aim for. I don't know how many of y'all cycle sync your calendars, but like for me, this has been game changer, so I'm just sharing. But like I used to realize that as soon as I got my period, I had some insane energy that I could do everything. Today is one of those days. And I'm just like, okay, I can't take a flight, I can't come here, I can't go back and still be the best mom.
Yeah.
But then the minute you ovulate, you realize that you suddenly feel like, okay, one task is making you tired. So instead of trying to fight that,
accept that and plan your calendar like that. So that's exactly what I do at my work. At the first 14 days, I will say yes to everything and I will do things and I'm doing it happily. And the minute I know I've ovulated and I have an idea of, your body will tell you, I say no to things. I restrict my days to like 4 p.m. I don't take calls after 5. I don't reply to things after a certain kind of time, or I don't take up commitments that make me anxious because I know I'm going to get more anxious and it's not good for me. So I'm just saying that cycle syncing my work with if you have the opportunity or the luxury to do that, it's something that can change how you operate and it can really help. But the same to do with cycle, if you are someone who doesn't get their period regularly, I would definitely ask you to do seed cycling. Mm-hmm. So there are 2 kinds of seeds that you eat for the first 14 days and there are 2 kinds of seeds that you eat for the next 14 days. It takes time. I would say give yourself 3 months, but you'll see that does wonders because seeds are like small boxes of like, I would call it, but yeah. So there are small changes that you can do in your daily, I'd say your daily days where you can bring out that feminine energy of yours and not suppress it without even knowing it. So I think work towards doing those things more so than concentrating on one superfood or one, I'm taking this vitamin and this is what's it's gonna do. It's not gonna do anything. So try creating super habits instead, and then you see the difference in life and something. Yeah, like be the superwoman for the first 14 days. Yeah, to yourself for the next. Yeah, absolutely, right? Even if I'm saying exercise. Yeah, I feel like you'll be able to do that each night. Yeah, I don't know, but this thing, even I've noticed that during periods, I would like to do that. Like, it's really the period time energy, energy levels. I tell you this.
So the first few days of your period, they say that you can lift the heaviest stuff.
Yeah, I do strange things. Yes, no, it's not strange. It's actually science. It's amazing things. For your progesterone levels are changing. Your estrogen is coming back into your system. This is all science that we're trying to work against, but that's what's working against you. Why are people getting PCOS? PCOS is not an illness. It's a lifestyle that we're creating. Yeah, it's like and rightly so. We are working women. We're damn proud of it, but don't lose your feminine energy because that's what makes you who you are. Mm-hmm. So if you can conserve that, you can do everything else as well. I'm telling you, when I'm on my period and 14 days later, I do 3 strength sessions and 2 Pilates, hypothetically. Mm-hmm. And the minute I turn over, I do 3 Pilates and 2 stretches. So I'm just saying that little change of how you even like move your body. I'm not saying don't move. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying choose that to support your cycle. Mm-hmm. Very quickly, do we all understand what cycle syncing is? Have all the sides? Okay. Do we need to explain? I'm sure. Yeah, I'm more than happy. Does anyone need any explanation? Yeah. Okay, seed cycling. Okay, so from day 1 of your periods to day 14, there are 2 seeds that you should take. That's pumpkin seed and flax seeds. So you can either make it roasted, make it a powder, or just take 1 teaspoon of it. Also, it serves the purpose of eating fat first. So you can do it first thing in the morning so you don't forget. And the minute you know you're getting that egg white discharge or you're heading towards ovulation, you switch that over and you have sesame seeds and sunflower seeds for the next 14 days till you get your period. Yeah. This everyone should do it. Everyone. Okay. It's great for your health. As I said, they're powerhouses. Seeds are powerhouses. So there's if you have irregular period, really then source will. Yeah. But if you have a regular cycle, there's no hard test. No, it also seeds also give you many other vitamins and nutrients, right? Like say your pumpkin seeds are the highest form of zinc that you can give your body if you're a vegetarian. So there are other things that it can help. So it's at even having fat first in the morning. A lot of us have a spoon of ghee or, have nuts in the morning. So this helps in even regulating your blood sugar through the day. So you don't have to be someone who's had an irregular period, but just being a woman, these things will help. It will help your skin, it will help your nails. So you could do it anyway. Sorry, thank you so much. What are the... If you had to pick 3 foods that you shouldn't be eating or 3 exercises that you shouldn't be doing, So I think it depends on the stage. For example, pre-conception, like I said, a woman can go through pretty much what she's doing on a regular basis. That shouldn't stop. And like if she's doing like a rigorous workout routine, that's fine. But if she's moving towards like a pregnancy state, or she's planning conception, or she's planning IVF, then I would say it's got to be in that moderate range. Like I would avoid contact sports, or I would avoid a high intensity workout. I would avoid heavy lifting from the ground, stuff like that, because there is very rare, but there is a complication called the ovarian torsion, which can happen when you're picking up heavy stuff and you don't want that. Okay, so it's a complication, not very easily. It's not often, it doesn't happen that often, but why take the chance, And also, like I said, you don't want the woman to go through tremendous stress window, because fertility treatments are in itself are very, very stressful on the women and the body and the mind. So, coming from that aspect, I would say mild to moderate. Moderate being like swimming, cycling, brisk walking is great. Like, it brings down your cortisol levels. It helps you regulate your mind. It's good for your body. Also, you are you're burning some calories. It's great. And then you can and complement it with some 30 to 40 minutes of resistance training. Doesn't have to be intense. Again, making sure that your cortisol levels are not peaking up. And then you can probably do like a stability, Pilates, yoga, whatever, like she said, twice a week is a good, like let's say 2 to 3 times strength training, 2 times Pilates, or 1 Pilates, 1 yoga, some breath work, maybe some mindful sound healing sessions to regulate your nervous system. And then the swimming is great aerobic activity to keep your cardiovascular function optimal. And like a blend of, I would say, I do not believe in like extreme running at extreme, running is great. Every form of physical activity, like I don't disregard that as well. If a person loves running 42 kilometers, it's fine. But my point is, I think as women, because we have so many hormonal fluctuation through the month, right? It's important that we like 14 days, like how Nicole was mentioning, that she likes to take it down and then take it higher depending on how she's feeling through the month. I would agree on that. Like, I would listen to my body and say, okay, you know what, today I don't feel great. I had a long working day, and let me just go for a brisk walk and come back and call it a day. I don't want to put my body to extensive work. So during pre-conception stage, I would say light, moderate activity. During conception, like it's not evidence back that you have to take complete break when you are going through the process, but just to avoid some complications, like we would give them thoda lighter activity level. And once the egg is, let's say they're going through an egg freezing process, or it's painful and all those, they're not feeling great. Again, I would say keep it mild and moderate. Do not put them to extensive, stressful, exercise routines. And there is no evidence. Sometimes doctors may advise bed rest, but only if the doctor is suggesting that. Otherwise, gentle movement is always great for circulation, always good for the body and mind, gives you dopamine, gives you endorphins, makes you feel great. Nobody comes out of a workout sad, like she said. I feel great even if I'm the lowest of the low days. I have to drag myself to the gym, and if I just give myself those 30 minutes, I feel great afterwards. And I feel like I've achieved today's day is great, and I can be a great mother after that, great wife. It can make you grumpy and cranky if you're not having a good day. So I'd always say that, moderate, medium activity levels. Unless the doctor specifically says you need to rest for the implantation to happen during the embryo transfer process, then listen to your doctor. Otherwise, gentle movements, Pilates, breath work, all that is great. And do it consistently. Like, complexity is not the goal here. The goal is to sustain consistently. Even out of 7 days, you're not able to do, like, let's say 5 days. You don't be disappointed. You made sure that you got in those 2 days or 3 days, whatever, that's good enough. Give yourself grace and be kind to yourself before you expect kindness from the world, because that will come later. First, be a little more gentler towards yourself, and then be gentler and kinder towards the other women who's going through that process as well, I would say.
They could. You said three foods that are absolute no, or foods that are an absolute no when they're trying to conceive. Or
I think foods that are absolutely no for conceiving, non-conceiving for me remains the same. And that would be processed today.
and the
I mean, ultra processed. I mean, if today I know the hype about protein, I understand it because yes, as a country, we are no protein consumers. But don't put protein in my water or biscuit or whatever. Because I can put that in a biscuit and then also you putting a lot of sterilizers that are not healthy. So don't get fooled by like a protein bar. I don't allow my clients to have a protein bar because if you flip it over, there's more fat. To make that protein bar, there's stabilizers, there's ingredients that are number coded. You only know what's in what there. So on what cost are you getting that protein hurt? So that you have to be a little bit more mindful and not get sold by everything that you see. Protein is very important, and especially for our country that our normal diet does not have as an equivalent of 1.2 or whatever requirement that you should have. But don't just buy anything. Don't just think that I'm having this, I'm getting 30 grams of protein and not read the other things. Exactly. So don't be delusional about these things. And I'm saying that if anything at the back has more than 3 ingredients, it's not here for your body. Yes, you can have one off thing where you don't have access to food. Something is better than nothing. But otherwise, don't make that a habit. So I'd say processed food for sure. Nothing really, actually. There's anything that comes in a packet, don't eat. Like, more I just eat ingredients, like, one, 3 ingredients. And if you can't pronounce it, I was like, oh, I had cake, it was sugar-free. But what did you have again? That sugar that made it sweet, it's made it chemically made sweet. No, how is that still okay? Then natural, then you rather have honey and you rather have maple. Like, you take those calories in, then convince yourself that sugar-free is better. So I'm saying be mindful about what you put in your body. It's giving you everything. It's giving you life. I mean, you could have 99 problems, but if you have a health problem, nothing else matters, right? So see what you're doing and see how you treat your body and then see how it gives back. So I would not, there's no specific effects. No, I mean, that's one of the things that people come and ask you specifically. I don't want to. What are the things that I should not be eating? Right? Yeah. So that's why. Exactly. I mean, those are generic. Everyone knows and everyone knows when they see a burger, they should not. We do eat that because we do eat it. So when you don't eat food, But also when it comes from an expert, experts like you, they do the same. Right? I mean, I'd say that. Fair enough. So don't eat it all. If you want to. Right. I want to quickly go through myth versus reality question. I share there's a lot of that going around, and then we'll open up the conversation here. So very quickly, yes or no, and then if there is an explanation needed, we'll go into that explanation. Random questions, but nutrition and as well as movement. Coffee causes infertility. Absolutely not. But you can have about 200 mg of caffeine. Or I would always say, getting pregnant, not getting pregnant, try to consume your coffee before 3 p.m. Only because you don't want to put your body into that sort of activeness post that time, because you should need to work with your circadian rhythm. And do it in the morning. Don't do it every stomach. Always eat before. And no coffee will not cause you to anything that you feel nauseous. Being thin means you are fertile. No, I don't think BMI really. I mean, BMI is one of the reasons. Thin doesn't mean you can conceive better, or fat doesn't mean she's not going to conceive, right? It ultimately depends on the entire genetic coding of that person and what she's been up to, what is she doing, and how healthy she is, how's her metabolic health, ovarian health. So I don't think a thin, skinny lady could not get pregnant, and basically BMI, higher BMI person could get pregnant faster. So it really does not differ. It's a myth. There's a word called TOFI. TOFI. Thin outside, fat outside. So you'll be surprised to know that most of my clients who are going through are ones who are not under a BMI, or you look at the height, it's like, you label, that's what I said, people label thin as fit. If someone comes to me and says, I want to be thin, I say, please, respectfully, that's not done here. So I think women should focus on gaining muscle mass. Like that's it's one of the most important endocrine organs. It stores, it's the powerhouse of everything. There is no words to say. It's the largest endocrine organ. So you need to have lean muscle mass. The muscle is going to regulate everything for you. Like your insulin sensitivity is gone, PCOS is taken care of. Your mitochondrial efficiency increases, you perform better, your energy levels are great, your mind fog is gone. Everything comes down to how much lean muscle mass you have. So we need to educate and change this whole narrative of heart attacks. Because it's not about being thin. So about what muscle you. I think having muscle is sexy at this point. It needs to be. Two questions for you. Dairy should be avoided. No, dairy should be avoided in terms of when you're trying to conceive. No, I don't think dairy needs to be avoided unless you're lactose intolerant or you're sensitive to milk. But saying that, the kind of dairy that we consume is too adulterated. So that can be inflammatory. So if you have a good source of dairy, clean, you know where it's coming from, dairy is a waste. Weight is the only way to kind of think of nutrition. I think 40 minutes I will be explaining this, but I'm just it out. And last thing, I really want both of you to touch upon sleep. Essential, all your recovery is happening when you're sleeping. Like all the work you've done through the day, all the exercise, movement, nourishment, nutrition, you need to sleep to recover so that you get the optimal benefit of nutrition and movement. There is no other way. There's an alternate to anything and everything, but there's no replacement for sleep. And I'll save you money and tell you that please do not sign up for anything that says detox. Body detox plan. I'm gonna have do a detox diet for 1 week, and you're only gonna lose your water weight and muscle. So don't get sold with these things. The only way your body will detox is when you sleep. That's the only time your organ will self-detox itself. Your liver is made, and to be one of there was to detox. Then it can function when you sleep. So if you do that, you won't have to pay for 2 weeks detox plan. So sleep well. Thank you so very much. As welcome. Thanks for a very informative conversation. Of course, we'll open up the session for questions, but do you want to add anything that I might not have asked? I think from my perspective, I would say that movement is motion is what I call it. Movement and motion is medicine and for every human being, right? But in terms of IVF, egg freezing or fertility, I would say that it has to be prescribed, curated well, and intensity has to be decided by the professional, and it's best to take some help and guidance and not just randomly do stuff, I think. And also, along with physical aspect of it, I think mental health and mental well-being becomes a very, very important part. So I would say a good combination of nutrition, mental health awareness and counseling the patient and movement and recovery will be it'll set the base at least. Like I said, the outcome is not in your hand, but definitely you can set a really good environment for the women to thrive and go through conception, go through egg freezing, or go through pregnancy in general and postpartum to get her out of it stronger, healthier, long term. Cool. When it comes to nutrition, I feel like we've already spoken so much, and not so much in detail, but good enough information. But look at nutrition as sustainability rather than trying to chase a very short-term goal. I feel like there are a lot of things more accessible to us today. So make use of that. Make use of understanding from professionals about your health journey. Nutrition is not one size fits all. In fact, it's so ever-evolving that I'm still learning. And every day I learn about something new. So gather all information, see what works for your body, understand your body, and as Gayatri said before, give yourself grace.
Thank you so much.